Welcome in. This is Sheevaun Moran, and this is Energy Mastery Podcast. And we host these so that you can have some ideas about how energy works in a very different perspective. I have been doing this work helping people learn how energy works, kind of since I was a child. And people have always questioned me, wanted to know how I see things, how I interpret things, what information I can help them utilize because of what I see with energy. And so with Energy Mastery, we have a school that is a system that gives you the understanding of how energy actually works for yourself, for others, to understand your own sensitivities, to take advantage of the unique perspective you have as a highly sensitive being. People who come into our courses are people who have tried a bunch of other things or who really just want a whole new level, and their soul has an inspiration that Energy Mastery is a great next step. It could be the only next step, but it's up to the soul and up to the person who jumps in. And so today, I invited one of our certified trainers to come in and join me and ask some questions that they get when they're out in the field, when they're on the phone, when they're working with clients, and when they're working with students. And I thought it'd be super helpful for you to get some details about how they're interacting with energy, and also get some questions from them, because the way I think about things after doing this for many years is going to be so different than somebody who is just starting out. And no matter where you're joining us from and what perspective you're joining us from, it's important for you to know all different angles and ways and aspects of how energy affects your life, and how maybe this is a good resource for you, because energy is everything. It's everywhere. It's in everything we do. The more we're in Wi-Fi, the more we're being affected and impacted by energy. Works. And so with that, I'm going to invite in Leanne Koloski, who is one of our certified trainers. Welcome in.
Welcome, Sheevaun. Thank you.
So you came to us as a curiosity seeker, is the way I'd speak about it. What is it that you do, Sheevaun? Why do you have this way of being? Why do things work out for you? Tell me a little bit about what you were thinking when you kind of encountered me and you were asking me all of these questions.
Yeah, I think because we had both met through entrepreneurial circles, I was kind of fascinated with how I had maybe just a small understanding of how energy works. And when my energy is better or things are more cleaned up, I really just wanted to make more money as an entrepreneur. And so that was probably my original attraction into this work. And I think I had taken one of your highest level trainings, and it must have been, 6 months or probably 12 months later, I had a family tragedy, and my father had taken his own life. And so, then it was kind of that impacted me, my physicality, mentally as well. And it probably took about 6 months for me to circle back into doing more of this work. And I remember being back at another training, and I was like, I could use this to help me. And so that's kind of how it started for me. Just after that moment, I just pretty much on a daily basis started using these tools and really seeing, my energy shift.
Okay. And so you took a long journey to become a certified trainer, which is just perfect. I think that's perfect, because that means that you worked on yourself, that you were curious, and you saw some of the other trainers and what they were going through and what they were experiencing and the good things that were occurring in their life. And so I know you came with a few questions today, so let's get into some of those.
Yeah. So one of the things that I get from other people, I tend to attract a lot of people in the woo space that are already doing other stuff, using other tools, sound baths, other healing modalities. And, even though they're certified in these other disciplines, they still don't have whatever they want completely resolved. And then I'll do some of this work with them, and they'll, see some radical results. And so why, does this work, different or in many cases better than other stuff that's out there?
So a sound bath, we'll just take that as an example, and that's very prevalent right now. A sound bath is something that goes in and can kind of harmonize your brain and your energetic nervous system, and help your cells release old toxins and things like that. However, it needs to be done consistently and regularly, and at a particular rate, with a particular style. And people tend to have what I call window shopping, and they'll go to one sound bath practitioner, and then they'll go to another one, and and they'll feel really good. They'll get really ungrounded, and they'll have an experience of things are good, but it doesn't really solve something or relieve something or touch the soul. And the thing about energy mastery, and I think it's just from who I am and how I came in, and when somebody's attracted to this energy mastery stuff, it's really something about the soul knows that the nourishment it's requesting is here. It's deeper, it's resonant, it's, really getting into the DNA and the cells and the organs and the energy organs and the blood and shifting the blood and such like that. And so something like sound bath is good and it helps. However, something like energy mastery is more like what I say is let's resolve it. Let's work to resolve it so that it becomes a non-issue. And other modalities, meditation's beautiful, but it doesn't fully resolve the thing. It doesn't resolve the energy of the thing. Other modalities like psychotherapy and so on and so forth, they don't resolve the thing. They just open different pathways. And the thing about energy is if you're working on an energy that is broken or disrupted or distorted or bent or chaotic or whatever that is, the idea with energy mastery is to identify it, calm it down, sort out all of that mess, and get the body doing what it does naturally. And the key thing is, in what I just said, is the body doing what it does naturally. Because the body's actually a really amazing energy healing machine. It just doesn't have enough of the right things in order to be consistently and persistently resolving difficult things. Like as a child, you can see a child healing super fast. Their wounds heal really, really fast. But once there's more muck, I call Poopyville, in the energy of the mind, the body, the cells, the environment, etc., the recovery is slower and slower and slower. And you can see that with people who age, and they have different things that happen, and it just keeps building up and building up and building up. It's kind of like never cleaning out the garage. And then the garage gets bigger and dustier and dirtier and, cluttered and cluttered and cluttered. And then you become a hoarder. And you kind of end up being a poopy energy hoarder on accident without cleaning it up on a regular and consistent basis. So those things will help for sure. But the soul always knows something that is bright and shiny and possible for true, deep nourishment.
And, getting back to like sound baths and some other modalities where people might be in person doing this work, I think one of the things, at least to myself, that's fascinating is that I do 90% of my work at a distance where the person is not near me. And so the question that I get is, how is this able to work at a distance?
Yeah. So how are we able to have Wi-Fi at a distance? I mean, I remember when I first started this, I was trying to describe Wi-Fi to people when we didn't have a language set for it. And so it's kind of like this. If you look at the planet, think about it like this. If you look at the planet and you look at air currents, the current in Egypt eventually comes to California. We're in California. That air eventually comes here, right? It's a matter of how long does it take. Actually, not very long, interestingly enough. And so energy is something that goes and is a wavelength, and at the right wavelength, from human to human, person to person, whatever that is, the tools are set up so that anybody can do this anywhere. The practitioner who has the modality, uses these tools in this particular way, understands how energy impacts things, key thing, and has the ability to work with somebody else and use the protocols, can impact that other person. Now, the idea is, if they're on the phone, people are more receptive. If they're in person, they're more receptive. Truth just is. Some people who have done this work for a while are that much more receptive because they just don't care. They just want the results. Mm-hmm. The people who are not in person, it isn't as big of a deal as they're going to make it. They're going to, even with Wi-Fi, people are saying, well, how do you do that? And we have a whole series of things that we teach all of our students. You teach your students the protocols, processes of how to identify it, access it, and work with that particular individual in a specific way and with whatever is going on for them. So it doesn't matter where somebody is. It does matter if they're closed off, if they're sitting there saying, oh, this isn't going to work for me. This is never going to work for me. And I've only had a few of those, fortunately. But even the people who've said that it's not going to work for them have had pretty radical shifts in a beautiful way. Like there was this one woman who came and she had pretty severe shingles and she tried everything. They had flown her around the world and then they found me and they flew in from New York and she sat there just negative Nellying the whole time going, this isn't going to work. This is really dumb. And I don't remember her name, but, after a little bit, I finally said, I'm really good at this. But I think you should probably go because you don't want this to work. Even if it could totally change everything in 5 minutes, you don't want this to work. And so I heard her on the way out and I heard her talking with her friend who was there and she says, you know what? I feel amazing. I haven't felt like this in 15 years. I don't know what that lady did, but that was amazing. So she was receptive enough to having some impact and some results. But imagine had she been super receptive and not negative Nellying so that it wouldn't work. So it does work anywhere so long as you have the processes that we teach, that you teach. So I think that's a really good place for y'all, all of you listeners, to understand that energy's everywhere. It's everything. And it's just a matter of what are you going to tap into? What is your soul recognizing that that your soul speaks? And our soul, my soul, from being the founder of this, bringing this forward, the reason people seem to come is because I'm just here to serve and help the souls get together and do really good things and have healthy, happy, much more prosperous worlds. My name is Sheevaun Moran. This is Energy Mastery. You can go to energymastery.com, and you were just hanging out with me and
Leon Kolaski.
Thanks for being here, and until next time, we'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining us today on Energy Mastery. For more information and resources, visit us at energymastery.com. Stay tuned for our next episode.